Hello everyone, welcome to the House of Griffin Garage Door. Today I wanted to talk about something that I come across very often, and that is these Wayne Dalton 9100 garage doors. Now, they are very common because builders love them because they are slightly cheaper than a standard garage door. But when I say that most garage door professionals hate these garage doors, I feel like that's probably an understatement. And I'm going to go through the reasons why, and I have playing in the background just me working on one of these systems, and like right off the bat, you can kind of see like here's a gear that is made out of plastic mixed with very thin metal, and that is one of the main reasons that this product is just inferior to the standard torsion system. So anytime a garage door professional comes out to one of these systems, vast majority of them are going to convert it to the standard torsion spring system because it is a superior product and it's better made and longer lasting. So you can also see like right here, so this is the part that the cable wraps around, and it's made of plastic, and I can easily break it off. So in the event of some kind of damage or anything like that, it's just not very well made. But new home builders love them because they're cheap, and that's just unfortunately how things are these days. So. And you can kind of see the difference between the two. So there was a mix of metal, really thin metal, and plastic. And right now you see me lifting up and putting in a standard torsion system where the springs are on the outside. They're visible, they're easier to maintain going forward, and they're just better made. Thicker steel means more durability. Ball bearings, all metal and no plastic. So right here you can see me mounting what's called the end plates, and that again is replacing the mixture of plastic with metal. And then there's the drum that is also not made of plastic, and then the springs are on the outside so that if they need some lubrication, you can see them. If there's a break in the spring, you can see that there's damage. You can also just see, and it's easier to maintain going forward. It's relatively easy to get these springs off once you know what you're doing, and if you follow the proper standard safety settings. And by far, messing with the garage door spring is the most dangerous thing that I do in my job. But once you have the right tools and the right know-how and the right steps, it's something that I do multiple times every day, so I'm very comfortable with it. But any DIYer should really do their research if they're going to try to tackle this project on their own, and I would highly recommend it unless you have someone that's done it before, just kind of walking you through the steps. So you can see here that I'm mounting the springs to what's called the center plate. And now you can kind of get into and see the difference between the two different products. So this is the cables that were previously attached to the garage door. So the old one is on top and the new one is on bottom. And right now you can see the difference between the two cable loops. There's an obvious difference of which one is thicker, and when it comes to moving parts and metal and whatnot, the thicker the better, and the size does matter. So, and again, here's showing the difference between the two components of the end plates and bearings. So again, no plastic, all metal. And then we have the drum right there that's made out of cast aluminum versus plastic mixed with metal. So again, just an inferior product, not very well made, and not durable. So now we're getting into just getting the new system set up. We have all the parts swapped, and now we're setting the torsion spring assembly, and I just wanted to show you what that's like, and so that you can kind of see the difference between the two products. So here we're setting the drum position so that the cables are seated into the drum and in the right position so that they don't jump off the drum or the cables stay in position. And we're tightening those set screws in the drum to be at the preferred position so that the cable tension stays tight. We sense that down just based off of feel, getting it into the right position. And now we get into the very dangerous part of winding a spring. So I do however much I can by hand safely without having to strain too much. And then I switch over to my winding bars and I start putting the winds on these springs. So this particular garage door is 8 feet tall, and these springs are calibrated to handle that weight, and I'm putting 32 quarter turns or 8 full turns on this door. So that spring is wrapped around that tube 8 times, and that's why it is so dangerous to mess with these without the proper know-how and without the proper tools. Because if for some reason you don't follow the proper procedure, that those wound springs can come undone, and those set screws or any particular part that's spinning around will come undone in less than a second and can whip around and either break your finger or a knuckle or even do some severe lacerations. But the other part too is sometimes people are messing with the cables while they're under tension, and that's also a huge no-no. That can do some very severe damage to your hand or your arm, causing some severe lacerations as well. So we've got the right side spring wound, and now we're working on the left, doing the same steps, just winding it 32 quarter turns or 8 full turns. Since it's an 8-foot door, we hit the spring a little bit just to spread it out so that it doesn't grab and bind on each other as it's moving up and down. We tighten those set screws. And then we're going to pull out the winding bar. We're going to take out our vice grips. So now you can kind of see another part of this garage that is particularly frustrating is that how these doors are built is they are unique to this particular product, meaning that I can't take a hinge from a different manufacturer and put it on this garage door. It has to be specific to this garage door. And also, these are known to rip out. And that's another major failure point of these garage doors, is I've seen it many times where these hinges will just pop out or rip out. And you can kind of see right here that how these garage doors are made. They're made of really thin metal, and then they use the insulation with a paper backing or a vinyl backing to add some insulation level. Here you can see the TorqueMaster spring versus a torsion spring, and it is just very small in comparison, and size does matter, and that just means that they do not last as long as the standard torsion springs. So with all these reasons, this is why me as a garage door professional, I don't recommend the TorqueMaster system, and they're an inferior product. So hope that helps. Have a great day.